and welcome to Choreographer Talk. My name is Jane D'Angelo. I'm the executive director of OhioDance and producer of the OhioDance Festival. Today, our guest is Bill Wade. To ask you a few questions about your
Sure.
work. So, one is when revisiting work with the original cast, what new discoveries or perspectives have emerged in the choreography?
Yeah. So when I was thinking about this question earlier this morning, and all dances can be recast, but they're never going to be the same depending on the personalities that are you want to pull forward in the choreography itself. Um, I've also was thinking about how like every dance that I've created actually has a lifespan of its own. And part of that lifespan is determined by the different people in the roles of the dance. But some of my dances have been around for decades, and they actually have like they'll go through their adolescent period. They'll go through, and then the piece of art will get really, really mature years later. Um, so as I remounted this piece, Mayim, which is Hebrew for waters or river, two of the three women are new in this piece, right? So it gave me the opportunity, as I was remounting it, to kind of revisit certain moments in the piece with these new people and kind of rethink them and clarify them and iteratively change some things. Like there's one section in particular, I was watching them learn the way it was choreographed originally, and I was like, you know what? I want to change this. I want to distill it closer to the original intention. So remounting pieces gives me the opportunity to clarify moments or transitions, or you'll have a strength of a dancer that you really want to kind of like pull forward in a moment or two. So they're living things, these dances, right? And so you can continue to shape them, and then even getting feedback from people that have seen the piece, things that stuck out in the feedback. So when you remount it, it gives you an opportunity to reapproach some of those ideas. So I love doing that. It's because I feel like it's real art. It's living, and then it's not done until there is that feedback from an audience.
Yeah, that's really cool because you have a piece, you create, and then you recreate it. That's
Absolutely.
excellent. That's
Yeah.
excellent with new people.
Yeah.
And it has
And
a
it brings it
life,
new life. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It
that
brings it
can
new
keep
life,
going.
and you keep going, and you keep, and ironically, because it's the piece is about a river, so it keeps flowing and it keeps growing and it keeps, and I've been able to pull some things out of these three ladies that are just different, and they're nuanced and they're poetic, and so I'm really excited about the performance coming up because it's they're very beautiful in the piece, and the piece is it has it's like the timbre has changed a little bit, and it feels richer to me.
Let me ask you, your work often emphasizes collaboration and community.
Hmm.
How did that process shape the development of this piece with the original dancers?
So everything I create is always collaborative, and with whoever's in the studio with me at the time that piece is created. And that's not always just dancers. Sometimes it's musicians or composers. Sometimes it's like a fine artist or a sculptor or whatever, depending on the project we're working on. And in this situation, so years ago, I was doing some executive training because I'm running a company, and I needed more of that left hemisphere functioning. And I learned about what's called human-centered design thinking. And when I realized it was sort of like a for-profit person's vantage point on the creative process. So they found these fancy words and language to wrap around it. But in doing that, it kind of codified what I recognize as my own creative practice, right? So you start with the end user in mind. Like if you're making a product like a widget, like who's going to use the widget and what do they want out of this widget? But I started looking at the artwork in this way, like I'm trying to serve people with my art. And I really enjoy, as I'm creating it, the intersection of conversations with the choreographer, with the composer, as I'm choreographing it, and their musical thoughts will help shape what we're doing in the studio. So I took the original three ladies into one of our studios and worked on these ideas in silence. And then at certain points, we would share that with the other dancers to get their feedback. They would sit and watch it, give their feedback, and we'd go back in the room by ourselves on other days and continue to iteratively change this. And while that's happening, I'm having conversation with Joel Negus, who wrote the original score. And I was going to the Chagrin River at various different parts of the river that are my favorite spots, and spending time really, it's like you sit in front of a Rothko painting for a long enough period of time, and all of a sudden you start seeing things you did not notice at first. Same with the river. I'm like, this is a piece of artwork, this river. I'm going to spend time sitting here and watching and listening and taking it all in. And I kind of realized, for example, that it's particularly beautiful at sunset during the golden period of the day, because the light hitting the top of the water, it almost looks like fire a little bit on top of the water, and I love the elemental sort of. So then the costumes became a conversation with the costumer. Like, I hand dyed the silk to replicate those colors that I had seen. So it's all of these people coming together and collectively sort of having conversation around what is a river and what is the metaphor of it and the depth of that, and how what's going on at the surface is a result of the topography underneath that you might not be able to see depending on what part of the river you're looking at. So I think in this situation, it was all these inputs from all these different people that helped create the final piece, including I was recording the sounds and I gave them to Joel of the river. The waterfowl sounded very different than this little stream part where it was trickling, and those got embedded into the score. And then we do a thing here at Inlet where every quarter we hold what's called a sneak peek event. So we invite the community members in, and some of them are our individual donors or our board members or other volunteers or people that just love to come see sneak peeks, for example, where we open up the creative process and here's the idea, here's what we're thinking about. Take a look at this, and now let's do Liz Lerman's critical response process in reaction to this. We want our community to participate in the dance making process. It builds the audience numbers, it's audience development, it's stealth dance education, because you get people involved and like, oh, I never thought about that. I didn't know that this is what went into this. And when we did a sneak peek with this piece before it premiered, and we showed them the whole piece of choreography with no music. And we got a lot of feedback about, I could hear their feet brushing the floor and breathing together, and I've never noticed those things before. So then that was a conversation with our composer. Like, so here's some things that people really enjoyed that I wasn't expecting. And it's really fun to look at the artwork and the creative process from sort of like the end user, the audience member. What are they getting out of this experience, and how can you create this like conversation with people? Because again, the artwork's not done until people are in front of it and they're responding to it, right? So there was a lot of this. It takes longer to have these layers, but I think that the artwork as a result is, for me, it's more satisfying and it's richer, because it wasn't just something that I walked into the studio and said, 5, 6, 7, 8, do this. It's not how I work at all. And oftentimes I will start with the imagery. I'm an image-based, choreographer, and then we fold in the colors and literally of the costuming and the music, and and then everybody kind of weaves it together, and we're sharing it with community members, getting their feedback and participating and shaping the thing. So that's literally how almost everything that we create happens.